Yeah, we're live. I'd like to call to order the Kankakee County Board meeting, July 8th, 2025 at 9 a.m. We'll start off with the invocation by Rosemary Foster.
Thank you, Chairman. Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us be here today on such a beautiful summer day. I want to thank all the police and fire, 911 people. I reflect today on the tragedy in Texas. I'm sure all of us have been at summer camp. We want to pray for those people down there. I have fond memories at summer camp here in Kankakee County as a young child. But I know that God will heal our hearts, will help us move forward. Bless this country, O Lord. Bless us to not stand in the way of progress, that we will reach out and touch someone, that we will always be giving and loving to others. For this I pray to the Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And then we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then we'll do a roll call.
Mr. Hess. Present. Mr. Tholen. Dr. Pope. Mr. Seroy. Mrs. Weber. Mrs. Parker. Present. Mr. Carrico. Present. Mr. Swanson. Mr. Featherling. Present. Mr. Dunhill. Mr. Miller. Present. Mr. Long. Present. Mr. Kirkstra. Present. Mr. Hunter. Present. Mr. Smith. Ms. Foster.
Present.
Ms. Andrade. Ms. Armour Earps. Mr. Ashcraft. Present. Ms. Monday. Present. Ms. Rittmanick Emmy. Present. Ms. Turner from Kankakee. Present. Mr. Marion. Present. Mr. Lowy. Present. Ms. Turner from Moments. Present. Mr. Crutcher. Present. Dr. Nims. Present. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum, and then can I have a motion and a second to allow Steve Hunter in via Zoom? First by Lowy, second by Crutcher. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Motion carries. And then I'd like to have a moment of silence for the McCarty family. They recently went through a terrible time in their life, and Steve is a big part of what we do at the county. His family is a well-known name in this county, and I would just like to have a moment of silence for him and his family. All right, thank you, everyone. Next
This
up,
is Dr. Polk here.
Say that again, Dr. Polk.
I'm here.
Dr. Polk is here. Next up, we have a public comment. The first one under public comment is Melissa Knott, and she wants to introduce herself and express interest in District 10's open seat. So if you'd like to come to the front microphone.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Knott. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Melissa Knott. I'm interested in seeking the District 10 seat that's being, it looks like, declared open today. Yes. I have lived in Kankakee County for my entire life, with the exception of 4, and that was spent in the United States Air Force as a KC-135 crew chief, a Desert Storm veteran. I've lived in District 10 for 22 years plus now. Know a lot of people out there. I'm retired from Constellation Nuclear. I started at an entry-level position there, and at 55, which was 2 years ago, so now you all know I'm 57. I actually retired from there. I started at an entry-level position and retired as an executive of Constellation Nuclear. So that is my background. I'm seeking the open District 10 seat, And I just wanted to introduce myself to the board today. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, under public comment, we have Joda Crabtree. And his summary is understanding of CM process. So if you'd like to come to the front.
Good morning. I'm representing PSI Construction, of which I'm a co-owner, and just trying to understand the process for the construction management award at the courthouse project. And so I guess my concern was heightened when I watched the finance committee meeting and was alerted that one of our competitors had done a presentation for the committee. And we pulled all of our emails, and we have really not found anything that led us to believe that we were expected to do a presentation. We came for a discussion. We had a good discussion with the committee. Felt we had explained the fact that we had done numerous jobs at the courthouse successfully, kept everybody happy. We understand security there. We understand the courthouse procedures. The judges, the courtrooms, the jury rooms, and felt we were very, very qualified for the job. And then when I saw that the presentation blew the committee out of the water from one of my competitors, it just kind of put up an alarm bell in my head, like, we didn't do a presentation. We didn't know about a presentation. So I'm just trying to get a better understanding if we missed something or we misunderstood, but we have 80 employees that are Kankakee residents that are taxpayers that work here in town. We're based in Kankakee, and I've got to explain to them why we're not working at the courthouse. So I guess me understanding that better is probably what I'm looking for, and we, you know, to see that business go to Cook County, to me, it's not something we would like to do. We like to do the work in this town, in this county, and we pride ourselves on that. So that's really those are my questions and or my concerns, and just wanted to voice that and have you all understand that we love working at the courthouse. We love working in Kankakee. We're from here, and we just want to better understand the process going forward. Is there something we need to do better? We're always trying to get better. You know, we're never satisfied, so we're just trying to better understand where we can improve. So
Appreciate your comments, and we could get into that later. Next up, we have Herb Lillard, and he wants to thank us for the resolution regarding the road name, or the honorary road name for George Washington. So if you'd like to step to the front.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Herbert Lillard Jr., newly elected Township Supervisor in Pembroke. And I just wanted to come out this morning and thank Commissioner Jordan and the County Board for this resolution for the honorary road name change for Reverend George Washington Sr. We have good people who've come from Pembroke, and we appreciate the recognition that's being offered today. Good people come from Pembroke. I don't hear that often, but I've lived it. I moved to Pembroke in 1964, my family from Chicago, Illinois. And I've known Reverend George Washington Sr., an active voice, especially during the turbulent 70s when we attended St. Anne High School, a lot of unrest. And to walk into St. Anne and speak for justice for the students there at St. Anne, that was really impressive. My father was a part of it, and to see the adults speak up for justice and equality, and that's what it takes. We were a village then, and we're trying to get back to that now. So we appreciate things that you're doing now. Thank you.
Thank you. And then next up, we have Stephen Washington, if he'd like to come to the front. And his is the same as the previous.
Good
Welcome.
morning. I'm Stephen Washington, Reverend George Washington's last child, the youngest. I'd just like to say thank you. You're going to pass this. You know, we appreciate it. Washington family, it was great.
Thank you very much. I have nothing else under public comment. Nothing under vacancy appointments and resignations. I would like to amend the agenda and do the certificates of appreciation because the presentations could last a little long. So I would like to have a motion to amend the agenda and do certificates of appreciation. First by Miller, second by Monday. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we have the Sheriff's Department, 20 years, Charles Hertz. Not here. Both are not here. Okay. We will move on to the Jury Commission, James Faford, 20 years, Fafford. And then Public Defender, 25 years, Karen Farmer. Yes. This Karen Farmer here? Okay. No. If you want to say a couple words, you can, and then we'll take a picture. If you
Go for it, Karen. You do it. I know you can do it.
Well, hello. I didn't see you. I do. I talk all the time, but not usually with a microphone that moves like this. Just want to thank you for recognizing me. It's been a dual experience being a public defender here in Kankakee. I've been here all my life. Went to school here, graduated from here, and now I consider myself a public servant for the Public Defender's Office. Thank you.
Well, we thank you for serving for 20 years. That takes a lot of hard work and dedication. 25, don't let me mess that up. So, we'll come up, present you with this. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's why I like you.
And then James, if you would like to come to the front, say a couple words, and then we'll present you.
I had brown hair when I started this job. But I think it's mostly Dan's fault because I'm also a jury, an election judge. Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much for your hard work and dedication. And there you go. Picture together. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Not being an election judge. That's so smooth. It puts years on your life.
And then the last one is the probation department, Tom Latham. I see he didn't want to be on live today, but we all appreciate Tom. Tom's been so fantastic to work with. If anyone knows Tom, he could put a smile on your face at any time. He's a straight stand-up guy, and I can't believe we've had the privilege to have him for 30 years. So even though he's not here, I'd still like to give him a round of applause. So. With that being said, we will move on to presentations. So I have the Birth to 5 Illinois Region 32 presentation. If you'd like to come to the front, microphone. Thank you very much.
Morning. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for allowing us to be here today. My name is Liz Gibson, and I am the Regional Council Manager for Birth to 5 Illinois Region 32, which encompasses Kankakee and Iroquois County. Today, we would like to tell you a little bit about who Birth to 5 Illinois is and what we do. I'd like to start by introducing my fabulous team. They're in the back. If they could just give a wave when I call their name. Kenny Lynn Hickory is my Family and Community Engagement Specialist, and Susie Baronis is my admin support. Here at Birth to 5 Illinois, our mission is to create a statewide regional infrastructure that will amplify input from our communities in the development of policies and funding priorities. We support the mobilization of our communities so we can build and sustain equitable access to inclusive, high-quality high quality early childhood services for all children in the state of Illinois. Now, I know that many of you in the audience today think of the term early childhood. How does it pertain to me? I would encourage you to keep an open mind, because you have to think about our communities, think about your workforce who need high quality early childhood childcare so they can come to work each day, and think about the future of our communities. We are raising the children that will be your future employees that will run and govern our local entities. Birds-of-Five Illinois is a department of the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies. Many of you might heard of the term INCRA. That's kind of a nickname that we go by. We have dedicated staff, and we have 39 offices all across the state of Illinois that are focused on the same mission and vision. Our offices were created based on the Regional Office of Education boundaries. That way we have direct contacts everywhere that you go. We have Action and Family Council members across every region as well. Our Action Council members are comprised of community stakeholders, again, from diverse sectors and a variety of backgrounds. And our Family Council members consist of families who have children ages 8 and younger. The only caveat is that they must live in Kankakee or Iroquois County. And all of our efforts across the state focus on two things: policy making and funding distribution at the state with local needs. A couple slides in, you will see a timeline of our state timeline. There's also a copy of that in your folder today. Today, due to time, we just want to concentrate on the local efforts that have been taking place by our office. If we're able to go ahead a couple of slides, please. And one more. Thank you. Each of our regions across the state published all of the reports that are shown here on the screen. And the great thing is from our research and data, each of these reports are specific to the local needs. So the data that we're going to talk about today is for Kankakee and Iroquois County. And this work cannot be done without the support of our Action and Family Councils, through focus groups that were conducted, interviews that were led, and most importantly, community meetings where we were able to identify the needs of the local early childhood landscape for Kankakee and Iroquois County. During our first couple of years, here's kind of what we did. We supported local stakeholders in coming together to identify the strengths and determine the early childhood needs within our community. We produced an early childhood regional needs assessment that includes community recommendations for how to improve early childhood services. We supported the community in developing regional action plans based on the recommendations identified in our assessment. And we produced a mental and behavioral health needs assessment featuring stories from families and teachers about the challenges they faced in accessing things and being able to celebrate successes that they did experience. Now, I know that a lot of this information is going to go kind of quickly today, but we've made sure to include handouts in your folder so that you can have the information at your fingertips as well. On the next slide, you're going to see our region-specific timeline for when those different reports were published over the last 3 years. And then on the next slide, you're going to see the 5 initial recommendations that came from our early childhood regional needs assessment. And I'll give you a moment to scan those quickly. And at the time, we knew that not all 5 of these needs could be addressed at once. So through the support of our Action and Family Councils, we prioritized 2 of the recommendations. On the next slide, you will see our recommendation 1, which is to establish a centralized community network for early childhood education, information, and referrals. And you'll see the steps that have been taken over the last 1.5 years to really make sure that we have increased awareness and increased accessibility for our families right here in Kankakee County. On the next slide, you will see recommendation 2, which was our goal of expanding awareness and being able to provide wraparound services and mental health supports. And you can see here some of the steps that were taken in the bottom boxes of our flow chart. What's really important to note is here at Birds-of-Five Illinois, we do not actually provide direct services. It is through the support of the collaborative efforts with our community stakeholders that we are able to collaborate and advocate for the needs and work together collectively to put these solutions in place. A lot of the times you'll hear corporations and groups talking about problems, but all they do is talk. Here at Bertha 5 Illinois, we work with our community partners to realistically put local solutions in place and be able to take those solutions to the state level as well. On the next slide, we're excited to share that recommendation number 1 is fully complete and recommendation 2 is almost complete. So we're excited to add a third recommendation, which was a big one, especially all across the state, that focuses on the need for more mental and behavioral health supports. And we're working to make sure that we are providing support options for families and for the professionals that work with these children and families to nurture these needs. On the next slide are the findings.
On a board meeting, that's all.
Oh, okay. Are you on mute?
On the next slide, you will see our takeaways from our most recent publication, which is our Mental and Behavioral Health Regional Needs Assessment. Again, through the support of our amazing community stakeholders, we are already underway in putting solutions in place. On the next slide, you will see some things that have been implemented just in the past 6 months, and that this is going to be our focus over the next calendar year. Over the next year, there's also a couple of important things to note about our councils. We're going to continue to advocate for the implementation of these regional action plans. That's recommendation 1 and recommendation 2. We're going to add updates to these regional action plans, especially in the area of mental and behavioral health, which is our recommendation 3. We're working to deepen relationships with our community stakeholders. And again, most importantly, we're continuing to support efforts around the development of the new Illinois Department of Early Childhood. And again, think about this from a local lens. What can we do to strengthen the early childhood landscape for Kankakee County? So our next steps on the next slide include things that we need your help with. We are kind of in a season of changing the guard. The term for our council members is coming to an end. A lot of our council members have served 3 years, and we are adding to our action council. So you here yourself today might be interested, even though you might not have an early childhood background. You care and you're passionate about the future of Kankakee County and want to make a difference and have a voice in our work. You might know someone who has a family, who has children ages 8 and younger, and they've had trials or challenges in accessing things and would be a great fit to advocate. Or you might know somebody who's benefited from the great things that our schools and different programs have to offer and can be a success story as we celebrate those things. We're also interested in looking for more community partners who can join our efforts in mental and behavioral health. So there's lots of ways that you can be involved. Today, we're just here to give you a little snippet and provide ways with us to connect after today's meeting. So if you are interested in connecting with us, a couple things to know. If you have someone you can recommend on the next slide to be a part of our council, we are taking interest form applications until September 5th. But I would encourage you or somebody you know not to wait until that last minute cutoff to submit that interest form early. And just know that our team, we have a local office here in Bradley, Illinois. On the next slide, you're welcome to come into our office. You can email us. You can visit our state webpage, our regional webpage, which has the / of Region 32. You can connect and follow our newsletters where we share grant information and local early childhood subcontract dollars, and join our Facebook group page. We have a lot of great information about things that are happening here locally in Kankakee County, and just want to bring awareness to our work and continue to have the support of our community partners. Before I end today, I know we kind of went quickly through the information, but are there any questions for myself or my team? All right, thank you so much. Appreciate the time today.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Next up, we have another presentation, Mike Lynch, with Anita Speckman, if she'd like to come to the front as well, for a group health plan overview and forecast. This will be a quick one, but you could sit here or stand up there with them, either one.
Mike is here. We've been working, really we're at the point in our calendar year, which is our enrollment period, to look at where we're at in terms of our group health benefits for our employees as we begin to gear up in looking at already 5 months before we're looking at our renewal and starting to work on what that will mean in terms of cost to our employees, benefits to our employees, as well as the county as a whole, since this is a very large number for expense in our annual budget. It's currently at about $7 million. So it's a big number. Mike and I watch these numbers. We get monthly reports. So we want to give a bit of an update of where we are. I'll let Mike lead the discussion and just jump in when necessary.
Good morning. We'll start with that first page over there. The data that you're going to be hearing about is through May of 2025. If we could go to the next slide, we'll get the data through June here about the.
Skip a couple.
Yes, thank you. We'll get the data for June here in about 2 weeks, and we'll look at it at a 6-month point at that time. What you're going to be hearing today, many of the trends look adverse in a great sense, but there are some positives, and I'll try to show you both sides of the story here. Raw data. One of the things I want to remind you when you see some of these claim numbers is that claims over $110,000 represent claims that Blue Cross insures on what is called stop loss. In other words, any claim over $110,000 is written off and not charged to the group in terms of its experience. So it's up to that level, and Blue Cross eats the rest. And you'll see why that's important as we go through the claim. The county demographics have been the same for many years. We run right now at about 417 employee lives, and I think the number was 884 dependent lives calculated in. The workforce age and sex is relatively low and is female dominated to that end. And as you'll see on these next few pages, the largest impact to the plan right now are high cost claimants and the prescription drug plan, which is a very generous plan, but there are some anomalies that are thrown in there by the use of new drugs. So we'll give you a look-see at that. If we could go to the next page, please. Up in that, in the left hand, or top left, this is a financial overview, and you'll see in the top box under medical order of reduction, it gives first of all, a look at May 2025, and you can see billed and then on down, ending with medical paid. In the next box on the right of that upper box, we're comparing January 24 through May 24 to January 25 and May 25. Now there's a couple of points here I want to make. First of all, the billed charges between the two periods in 25.
It is on your laptop.
Yes.
I know the numbers are small, but we loaded it on your laptops yesterday. So you should, if you want to look at the numbers, probably easier to see there.
In any regard, if you go over to the right side of that box, that's fine. You know, the billed premiums were about 16% higher in the current year versus the last. As you drop down, you'll see that out-of-pocket costs are 32% of that number, meaning what the employees kicked into that. And as you drop down, I'm just going to jump to paid and medical paid at the bottom. The medical paid is a negative number, which means between the two periods, our expenses were down 5.6%. That's a good thing. And the reason it's a good thing is that last year, when we went into January, we changed plans from the old PPO program to what is called Blue Choice Options. And it was a program that had 2 tiers rather than just 1 tier, meaning just the PPO column. And in tier 1, the Blue Choice Option tier, we were expecting a discount of up to 12 or 13%. And that's just in the best course. And we actually went backwards in terms of medical paid by a negative 5.6. So that's a good thing. Expenses are down. Group liability, you can see there, they include medical, pharmacy. I'm not going to go into value-based care because that's not significant. Total paid claims went up 5.7%, and if you drop down, including everything, the group liability increased 5.7%. So while we had lower costs, we had higher expense here because of the number of claims and high-cost claimants. If you want to hit the next page, please. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but if you look on the left side of the page, you'll see that under summary, we have paid in through May $7,130,000 of premium. If you go over to the total paid column, we have claims amounting to $9,341,000. So you'll see there at the end, the medical and pharmacy loss ratio sitting right now at 131%. So the bottom line is that the claims have cost us 31% more than the premium that's been paid. And hopefully that's going to be changed, or will change. Had May of 25, you'll see it came out at 270%. It's one of the higher numbers. Had that been 100%, I recalculated that, the average would have dropped from 131 down to 116. My point is this can change fast. So if we get a couple of good months under our belts, we can get back to the right side of the table instead of the wrong side of the table.
Right. Look real closely at that graph down at the bottom. We were trending pretty well, and you can see that there's an anomaly in May. That is a very, very high claim, was about $1 million from February that hit in May. So hopefully that's not a recurring trend, but you can see what caused the spike there.
Next page, please. Here, this just gives you a outlook of where all the claim action is. The upper box goes from less than $200 in claims up to $50,000, and you'll see in the first 3 bands of claims, there's 666 people with claims under $5,000. The next 3, say 53 claims under $50,000. And the bottom line is down below there, between $50,000 and $500,000, we've got 12 people. And that's a huge impact on the plan, as we'll see going forward. And I would point you to the key findings down at the bottom. If you can read through that, it shows a couple of different points that are important. Let's go to the next page, which is a financial pharmacy summary. Here we got hit big, and there are 2 areas of concern. One is the non-specialty areas, which I'm sure some of you have heard include GLP-1s, no, non-specialty. Ozempic, Mounjaro, Humalog insulin, Farxiga, and Jardiance fall into those categories. And then specialty, which are special handled drugs, high cost, complex drugs for cancer, cystic fibrosis, multiple sclerosis, and those drugs include Skyrizi, Tremfya, and Enbrel. So all of those are names we all hear on TV a lot. So you can recognize that these are drugs that people see, doctors see them too. That's why they're being prescribed. And in both categories, these don't have generic alternatives. And there's a reason for that. In some cases, specialty drugs are called biologics. And so that biologic is made, and there are no generics that are going to be part of that history going forward. There aren't generics, but there are what is called biosimilars. And I'm not trying to go into this to that depth, but biosimilars are not exactly the same compounding, but they have a similar reaction. So generics, we don't have the luck of having an alternative right now. You're paying pretty much whatever they can get out of the deal. And I would say, however, Blue Cross has great discounts. They own their pharmacy vendor, so I think it works out very well. Down at the bottom, you'll see prior and current. In the current total paid, that's a 71.9% increase. The specialty paid was 55%, and the non-specialty was 22%. And a huge part of that in the non-specialty paid was the GLP-1s. If we could go to the next page, I'll quickly go through this. You'll see on the upper left-hand column, 846.57. That is everything boiled down to, through May, showing an individual per member per month fee broken down. So if you take the 846.57 times the total number of people in the plan, it should give you a close reckoning what the total cost is. What is that represent? Well, it's 18.5% change from over 1 year in terms of those costs. And that's, I said 1 year, it's between 2 time periods. It's 32.8 higher than the Blue Cross benchmark. And then down below, they show how they came up with the 18%. I won't go through that, but the verbiage at the bottom, the chart shows the percentage of change from the prior period to the current period per member per month. So positives and negatives in each category here. The next page, there are always good parts and bad parts. We've got the claims over $110,000 we spoke about. The trend until May was looking rather positive, but we've had some big months. The high-cost claimants represented through May about $2,565,000 individually of the total of $9,341,000. Positive is that 3 claimants that were reckoning in this group are no longer on the group. So those will be taken out of the calculations by the underwriting department, so they won't count against us. And what's next is that we're waiting for June, and we'll see what that looks like at the end of July. The end of June report, and then July. We should get the renewal sometime in the second or third week of August. And I don't have any kind of an idea, because we have to go through those and individually take all of those claims and pull them out of there and see how many of them are over $110,000, and then look at it. But somewhere, as I said, mid to late August, we should have that. And then the next step in this evolution is that we have right now 7 carriers that we will formulate RFPs to, and we'll try to get a competitive quote out of the marketplace. Certainly we'll present that and let Blue Cross know what we've got in hand, and hopefully it'll be a positive. So right now, we just wanted to bring you up to speed and give you a layout, because we'll be back here sometime in August or September to talk to you again and let you know what we found. Questions?
Any questions from us?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Rosemary?
I just have a comment. I know you all are doing a great job in trying to keep the costs down. I'm just afraid of everything that's going on in the legislature with Medicaid, that, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. So I hope things work out. We have a lot of older people that are on these medications that are quite expensive.
I understand how you feel. To a greater degree, we look at this every day and we see what's going on. One of the sad things about group insurance is, and individual insurance is, the legislature passes bills which highly affect plans, and they don't have a chance to plan for it. You just include it. And some of these drugs that are turned loose in these plans, you're mandated to cover. You don't have a choice. And so that's a positive from the employee perspective. It's a hard thing for cost evaluation on the economic side. But I think right now, I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago. Blue Cross is in the 80th percentile. They write about 80% of the insurance in Illinois, which is great because they're good, but it's sad because we don't have a multiple number of competition carriers out there for areas like this. So we'll try to get it out to everybody we know to see who we can get and what we can get in terms of comparisons.
Joe.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mike, you said 7 million in premiums and 9 million in claims. The 9 million in claims, is that what was actually settled, or is that what was billed and the settlement came after? Should that number be inflated?
In this day and age with electronic claims, it's what's been paid out the door. And you have to remember, the contract dictates what gets paid, and the contract is with the providers. So all of these contracts dictate a certain level. When I say tier 1, that's the most discounted level for services out of the 3, BCO, PPO, and non-PPO. If you use the PPO, then you have to pay a deductible which fits into tier 1, which combines with tier 1. But my point is, the 9 million for the most part is made up of claims in tier 1, and that's the highest discount. So it's out the door and paid. Includes pharmacy as well.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, it doesn't look like Craig.
Just a comment. How about now?
You're
Okay.
on now.
Thank you. I invited Mike after a discussion between Mike and Anita and I last week to be here in front of you today. And the point is, we have these 800 plus employees. The numbers are a little concerning. And I'm sure that I didn't want to come to you in August or September and say, hey, I wanted you a little preface to get used to the idea that that number is going to go up. So from here, we'll be talking with Mike and do the contract thing and that kind of stuff in August. But we'll also be talking about budget at that time. And pretty much our contract with them is 75-25 employee in the county. So we're talking about a pretty big number. And I'm sure Mike and his group will do a great job for us vetting who it is that will be the best choice for us. But I didn't want you to be surprised in August or September before we start talking about budget. We just need to keep our eye on that and be aware. So,
and I'd like to thank Craig for sitting in on the meeting. I was actually very sick last week, now that we're talking about health insurance. So I'd like to thank Craig, Anita, and Mike, and we'll welcome you back here in a couple months for further discussion.
Thanks,
so,
Mike,
thank you very
for
much.
putting all that work together and putting
Appreciate
the
it.
PowerPoint together.
Thanks.
We don't have anything under proclamations. Next is the minutes of last meeting, June 10th, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of last meeting?
Oh.
Correct the minutes? Well, let's do the approval first, and then we can do that. Approve the minutes. Featherling first, second by Marion, and then we'll have a discussion. Turner.
Back to that page.
Yes.
I lost the page on the minutes.
Alexa McCullough motion.
Yes.
Mr. Turner instead of Ms.
Okay, we will correct that. That's just a Scrivener's error, so thank you. Appreciate it. Any more questions on the minutes? All right, voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have the Claims Committee report for May 2025.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Claims Committee has examined the following claims for the month of May 2025 and recommend payment to the several claimants listed for a total of $8,836,093.54.
Thank you very much. And then we need a motion to approve the committee reports for May 2025. First by Dunnell. Second by Lowy. There's no discussion on that. We will do a roll call.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Dunnell. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Aye.
Ms. Rittmanick-Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee.
Aye.
Mr. Marion.
Aye.
Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher. Dr. Nims. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, we have the department reports, and I'll have Dan read those in the record as well.
County Collector's Report for May 2025. Total cash and bank and investments, $21,103,523.76. County Treasurer's Monthly Report for May 2025. The current tax account at Midland States Bank, the ending balance of $3,555,596.63. The tax operating account at First American Bank, the ending balance of $108,576.22. The tax e-pay account at First American Bank, the ending balance of $1,024,394.85. And the special fund sweep account at First American Bank, ending balance of $16,414,956.06. Recorder's Monthly Report for May 2025. Disbursement fees paid to the county treasurer of $120,680.17. County Clerk's Monthly Report for May 2025. Total of $34,207.33. Coroner's Monthly Report for May 2025. Total calls 118, coroner's cases 15, 7 autopsy, 7 toxicology, 2 donations, 2 fetal, 56 hospice, 45 referral, 74 cremations, 5 pending. Coroner's Income Summary Report for May 2025. Total of $12,509.18. County Clerk, Circuit Clerk. County Circuit Clerk Disbursement Report for May 2025, total disbursed of $408,240.34. Animal Control Monthly Report for May 2025, total of $46,127. Total animals handled 110. Monthly Building Division Report for April 2025, total permits 97. Total extra fees 109. Total fees of $74,144. Monthly Building Division Report for May 2025. Total permits 121. Total extra fees 127. Total fees of $84,105. Monthly Resolution Report for June 2025. Total of the county of $1,645.62.
And then can I have a motion to combine and approve the department reports? First by Ashcraft, second by Swanson. Any discussion on that? All right, voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have the committee presentations and resolutions. We have the consent agenda. And does anything need to be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately? I'll ask it a second time. Does anything need to be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately? All right, Dan, I'll have you read those in the record.
The reappointment of Antonio Carrico to the Kankakee County Board of Health. The reappointment of Catherine Hamblin to the Kankakee County Board of Health. The reappointment of Cole Jarvis to the Kankakee County Historic Preservation Commission. The reappointment of Lisa Sanford to the Kankakee Regional Land Bank. The reappointment of George H. Ryan Jr. to the Kankakee Valley Airport Authority. the reappointment of David Sargent to the Cabery Area Fire Protection District, the reappointment of Paul Mao to the Cabery Area Fire Protection District, the reappointment of Brian Grob to the Pilot Township Fire Protection District, the reappointment of Paul Knoll to the Pilot Township Fire Protection District, the reappointment of Ralph Mercier to the St. Anne Fire Protection District Board, the reappointment of Lawrence F. Blanchett to the Mantino Drainage District Number 6, the reappointment of Wayne Blanchett to the Mantino Drainage District Number 6, the reappointment of Alan Lamore to the Mantino Drainage District Number 9, the reappointment of Mark Brinkman to the Moments Pembroke Union Drainage District Number 1, the reappointment of David Marcotte to the Spring Creek Drainage District, the appointment of Denise Turner to the University of Illinois Extension, the resignation of Peter Dvorak from the Kankakee River Valley Forest Preserve District, declaration and disposal of surplus equipment for the Kankakee County State's Attorney's Office.
And then can I have a motion to combine and approve the consent agenda? First by Lowy, second by Foster. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Hess.
Present.
Aye. Dr. Pope.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson. Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Dunhill.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hodder.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Rittmanick Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee.
Aye.
Mr. Marion.
Aye.
Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher.
Aye.
Dr. Nims.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, we have Highway, Waterways, and Buildings. If you'd read that resolution in the record.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, authorizing the County Board Chairman to sign an agreement with Fair Construction for capital improvements at the Kankakee County Courthouse.
And then can I have a motion to approve that? First by Hess, second by Marion, and then we'll open it up for any discussion. The only thing I will say is this was a process where we invited 4 different construction managers to the table. In the past, I believe there hadn't been that many, so I would just like to say that it's been a transparent process. Bear Construction does have a location here in Bradley. They do employ people in Bradley and around Kankakee County. They have people that live in Kankakee County. They have done work at CSL Bearing, Riverside. They're currently doing a $4.2 million project at KCC, and I would just like the committee to know that we did do our due diligence on this. We have over 100 hours in this process to pick who we thought best fit. Bear has done one of the bigger historical projects probably in the state of Illinois. They did the old post office in Chicago, which was, I believe, a $900 million project, which is one of the most historical buildings, I would say, in the state of Illinois. So they have the expertise to get this project done. And I guess with that, I'd have any discussion or pass it over to Ben. So, Joe.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In watching the meeting, I wasn't at the meeting. I was out of town. It appeared, you're saying Bear is local. I'm not confident of that.
Yeah.
The 2 top bidders were separated by a fraction of a percentage point,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot in a $6 million job. My main question is there language in the bid that says we have to have the lion's share or whatever percentage of local labor doing this work? And the reason for the question is, my concern is this is going to be piece parted and subbed out in all the different entities. And if we end up with guys out of Cook County, Will County, I estimate that we're going to pay 12 to 18% more for each employee that comes down here to work.
And
so while we're saving the fraction of a point on construction management, what are we giving up? And what are we going to get JCO'd in the end? And,
right. As for like the subcontractors,
and also in addition, our state legislators went and got us this money with the spirit that, hey, I want this money to go to Kankakee and the money to stay in Kankakee.
Yeah, and I guess my opinion on that, and it was unanimously voted at the Highway, Waterway, and Buildings Committee, is, I believe competitiveness has to happen in Kankakee County, right? So I don't believe, having one person do the project all the time is the most competitive way to go about this. And I think it opens it up for, I'm going to reiterate it, competitiveness. And we did our due diligence. We did over 100 hours of interviewing and going through the paperwork. And as for the subcontractors, I know they do currently do work in Kankakee County, and have seen local subcontractors on their projects. Normally, when you do a project like this, the construction manager does a small portion of the work, right? They're able to bid out general trades if they want to, but everything else would be bidded out, right? So I think they do have some local subcontractors that they
But we have no language saying that we want 70% of this work, or we want our Kankakee contractors working prior to going out of the county.
We've had conversations with them that we do want them to reach out to certain subcontractors and make sure that they've put a bid in. So I guess that's what I would have to say. If you have anything else to add.
Okay, so there's language within the service agreement about rejection of certain contractors, right? But I guess the one thing I want to caution on geographic restriction is that it gets kind of sticky when you start talking about trying to limit contractors based on their geography. We're not a home rule county. We don't potentially even have the legal authority to limit a contractor by where they're located. We would go through, so work not performed by under general services would be bid, and we would expect the lowest responsible bidder to be selected for the work. So if a contractor outside of the area has a larger wage cost, and they're competing against a local contractor with maybe potentially a lower overall wage cost for their trade, then that would come through in a lower bid, we would expect. So when you start talking about particular instances, somebody's doing we've got a generator and boring to tap into the building to tie in for the elevator. If contractor supplying that is a local contractor and doesn't have as much mob cost, that means their bid would be lower. Again, electricians might be in Kankakee County based on our prevailing wage, 10 or 12 bucks an hour lower. They would potentially have an opportunity to have a lower bid in that process, and we would want the lower bidder selected for that work. We wouldn't have an expectation that we would be selecting a bunch of out-of-town companies, because we don't want that extra cost associated with it. But I always caution when we start talking about limiting somebody based on their geography when we talk about going through a competitive bid process.
But we don't. The bottom line is we're not going to oversee the overseer, right? The construction manager is going to put this out to bid wherever they want to put it out to bid. We don't have.
But we have to vote on it. They do it right in front of us.
Yeah, I would say it would be a similar process where we open the packets at the committee. As far as distribution is concerned, I mean, if there's a particular list of contractors that the board would like to see, we could certainly put that together and say we want each one of these companies to receive a copy of the packet. I mean, when you said oversee the overseers, I'm not going to be there 8 hours a day at the site. I mean, there's some work that needs to be done autonomous of me as the grant reviewer.
That is done.
All right, but yeah, so the packets would be open at committee. I would say like our regular packets happen here.
Is there any more questions? All right, we'll do a roll call.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Present. I mean, yes, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Dunhill.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Let me just say this, that I appreciate the oversight, the discussion, the vetting, the dialogue to and fro regarding the implications that Mr. Swanson has indicated, as well as the chairman. And I appreciate the comments that Mr. Wilson has made as well too. And I don't know if, I know that the chairman mentioned about 100 hours of this and that and so forth, but probably has been more. in terms of all kinds of discussions regarding looking at this situation. And I think that by virtue of the discussion we've had, that hopefully get a better work product, and it'll be fiscally responsible, and will be very cognizant in future initiatives. I vote aye.
Thank you, Steve.
Ms. Foster.
I want to say that with new leadership comes new eyes, new ways of doing things. So I'm voting aye as well.
Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Rittmanick-Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee.
Aye.
Mr. Marion.
Aye.
Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher.
Nay.
Dr. Nims.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll do the resolution for the next one.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, authorizing the County Board Chairman to execute and amend a grant agreement with Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for capital improvements at the Kankakee County Courthouse.
And then can I have a motion to approve that? First by Dunnell. Second by Rittmanick-Emmy. And then any discussion? And Ben could just kind of explain this.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this action, we try and do the amend and approval of the grant, just so that way if we have to do any modifications of the grant activity, you know, for end date or anything like that, we have the $6 million for courthouse improvements. We want the chairman to be able to sign appropriate documentation and make amendments to the grant as needed, but this will be the funds we utilize for constructing improvements at the courthouse.
Any discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Kirko.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Donnell. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hutter.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Rittmanick-Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee. Mr. Marion.
Aye.
Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher.
Aye.
Dr. Nims.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. And next I'll have you read the resolution, and then I'll open it to Rosemary and Greg Hayden.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, designating County Highway 2, 4500 South Road between 16,000 East Road and 17,000 East Road is honorary George Washington Jr. roadway.
Did I already do a motion?
No.
Can I have a motion to approve? First by Rosemary, second by Crutcher, and then we'll do a discussion on that. If Rosemary brought this to me, and I'm gonna let her, you know, say a couple words.
Okay. I just want to thank the board for approving this. Mr. Washington has been a pillar in Pembroke Township for many of years. You heard from his family and for our present township supervisor. So it's a pleasure to put this forth. And I did talk with the person that's going to do the sign, and we'll have a grand celebration when it's prepared. So thank you again.
Absolutely. And Greg informed me this morning that the sign, the person that makes the signs was on vacation, so we will, when we do the grand opening, there will definitely be a sign there. So thank you for bringing this to us, Rosemary. Next up, we have voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You read the next one in the record.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, authorizing the expenditure of River Equipment Grant Fund, Fund Number 931, for the purchase of a hovercraft to be used by fire protection districts within Kankakee County.
And then can I have a motion to approve that? First by Carrico, second by Lowy. And then we'll do a discussion on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a little interesting in that part of the other large grant that Senator Joyce made available for us for purchasing river equipment, one of the stipulations within that is that we must own and maintain within our inventory system the capital equipment. And so, you know, when we put this together, the senator had worked his way around and talked to the agencies, and so we have some requests for fire protection district needs access to the river during certain events, and so we're like, oh, we can put some money in there to buy a boat or a hovercraft or what have you. And part of the back and forth that's come out of with the DNR is that we have to own and maintain. So a couple things with this resolution. We want the board to know what we're spending money on because this is a reimbursement grant. So we will be purchasing the equipment and then be reimbursed from the agency for those funds. But also that we'll have to have an intergovernmental agreement, which will be very similar to the document that we utilize for transit, where we own all the buses, but the vendor utilizes them, so we'll make that equipment available to the fire protection district, so that way we can satisfy the requirements of the grant. So for this resolution, again, it's so this board knows that we're spending money. We have a not to exceed $75,000 on that. We assume the equipment will be a little bit north of $50,000, but since we bought the last hovercraft, there has been a little bit of time, so we wanted a little bit of window there, but also that we would then be the owners of it and it would be utilized by a fire protection district out in Limestone.
Mr. Featherling?
Mr. Wilson, where will this be kept at? Who will be in charge of it, making sure it doesn't get rained on?
I believe this will be something that the intergovernmental agreement will outline, but the fire protection district would likely be housing this within their facility. I mean, having it, I believe, at our facility and them trying to run over to somewhere to do emergency response on the river, I don't think makes a lot of sense. So, they'll have to identify a place within their facility to store it, and again, we'll make sure it stays inside and is cared for properly, and then we'll have our staff do an annual review on it just to make sure again that it's still out and running and all of those things. But yeah, I believe from in an emergency response arena, it's best for them to house it within their facility.
So we pay the maintenance on it then too also?
No, I believe similar to the contract we have for transit, where we tell them the buses must stay inside, buses must stay in the county, you maintain the insurance, you maintain the equipment. I think all of that will happen under that agreement as well.
So that'd be a different page,
yeah.
A bunch of pages, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Aye.
Ms. Rittmanick-Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee. Mr. Marion. Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher.
Aye.
Dr. Nims.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll go under PZA now, and I'll have you read that in the record.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, modifying a grant from the Illinois Housing Development Authority's Strong Communities Program, Round 2.
And then can I have a motion to approve that? First by Swanson, second by Miss Turner from Moments, and then Ben, I'll kind of have you explain this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We received $487,000 to do acquisition, potential renovation, and demolition of properties within Kankakee County under IDA's Strong Community Program Round 2. That grant is coming to an end, and the IDA graciously gave us a year extension. It's actually a nice order on your agenda here, because the next request is Dr. Crawford from the Land Bank is requesting funds out of this pool to acquire properties within our area, within the city of Kankakee, and then one within the county. But these funds, when we put the original resolution together, I don't know that we did all of the language we needed to allow the chairman to also then do this amendment. So this, I think we applied for the grant kind of on short notice, and so I wanted to bring this in front of you just so you know we are modifying the grant agreement to adjust the end date and allowing the chairman to sign that.
And then is there any questions? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
I'll say or when you leave.
Mr. Hunter?
Aye, I voted aye.
Ms. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Aye.
Ms. Ripnick-Emmy?
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee?
Aye.
Mr. Marion?
Aye.
Mr. Lowy?
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments?
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher?
Aye.
Dr. Nims?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Aye. Motion carries. And we'll have you read the next one in the record.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, accepting to use the Illinois Housing Development Authority Strong Communities Program Round 2 for the acquisition of 4 land bank properties.
And then can I have a motion to approve that? First by Marion. Second by Ms. Turner from Moments. Any discussion on that? I kind of already explained it, so if no one has any questions, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Ripnick-Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee.
Aye.
Mr. Marion. Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher.
Aye.
Dr. Nims.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, we'll have you read the openings.
Thank you.
One opening on the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee for a Shelter Community Representative. One opening on the Historic Preservation Commission for a historian. 4 openings on the Regional Planning Commission. 2 openings on the Kankakee County Board of Health at Large and Dentist. 1 opening on the Kankakee County Housing Authority for a tenant. 1 opening on the Kankakee River Valley Forest Preserve District. 3 openings on the Baker Creek Drainage District. 2 openings on the B.M. Lewis Drainage District. 1 opening on the Canavan Drainage District. 1 opening on the Clawson Park Drainage District. 1 opening on the Exline Creek Drainage District. 2 openings on the Gar Creek Drainage District. 3 openings on the Grinnell Special Drainage District. 1 opening on the Joe Bennis Drainage District. 2 openings on the Mantino Drainage District number 3. 1 opening on the Mantino Drainage District number 6. 2 openings on the McGillivray Special Drainage District. 1 opening on the Minnie Creek Drainage District. 1 opening on the Moments Pembroke Union Drainage District number 1. 1 opening on the Moments Yellowhead Drainage District number 1. 2 openings on the Raymond Drainage District. 1 opening on the Rockville Drainage District number 1. 1 opening on the Yellowhead Washington Union Drainage District number 2.
Thank you. Is there any old business? All right. We do have something under new business, so do you want me to take it over?
I'll do it.
Okay, yeah.
Morning. The new business is declaring a vacancy in District 10. The prior occupant of that seat never filed an economic interest form as is required despite multiple notices. Our office filed a lawsuit seeking to remove him along with several other elected officials within the county, and he resigned. So what needs to be done today is that board needs to declare the vacancy in District 10. The process then will be that within 3 days, the county administration will send letters to the political parties notifying them of the vacancy, and then by state law we need to fill that. The board, seat would then be filled by the county chairman with the advice and consent of the county board, and that needs to be done within 60 days.
So I want to make sure we do this properly. Do I just need a motion to declare the vacancy in District 10?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I'll ask for a motion to declare the vacancy in District 10 of Kankakee County Board, first by Featherling, second by Lowy. And is there any discussion on this? Voice vote?
No, I would do a roll call.
Roll call? All right, roll call.
Mr. Hess.
Aye.
Dr. Polk.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson. Aye. Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Rittmanick Emmy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Kankakee.
Aye.
Mr. Marion. Mr. Lowy.
Aye.
Ms. Turner from Moments.
Aye.
Mr. Crutcher.
Aye.
Dr. Nims.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Aye. Motion carries. If there's nothing else under new business. Roger?
Yeah, make a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn by Roger S. Second by, we'll welcome Featherling back. Second by Featherling. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.